Hello my friends, and welcome to this first ever episode of Inside Mind. I'm Nelson Almeida here with you, and today we have such a quite of a nice team. I'm just ultimating the last things. I'm just preparing what needs to be prepared for the program to start. I hope you enjoyed the the intro, and also of course at the end I have also something else for you. So I'm just starting on Instagram, so just wait for Instagram to start as well. And I'm on Instagram as well. Hello everyone on Instagram. So guys, as you can see, I'm only doing the program for YouTube and for Instagram. I'm very sorry for that, but unfortunately internet today is not helping, and there is nothing I can do. So this program, after I finish the program, you'll be able to see it also on YouTube, but only deferred, so you'll be able to see it after the program ends. So it is what it is. There is nothing I can do, unfortunately. So but I'm not here to talk about the internet. I can speak about the internet any other day. And another thing I want to say is that the program is all in English. It's the only program on Just a Matter of Opinion that is all in English. So anything, just ask or just say something. And let's have a nice conversation here on YouTube and on Instagram. So my friends, let's start with what I have for you today. So today I'm coming to speak to you about the daylight saving time and jet lag, and everything that is about time and why. I had this conversation over and over again with a lot of people so far about the time change. Every time we are on spring or on the fall, so normally is in October and in March, in late March and also late October. So here in Portugal the clocks always advanced 1 hour in spring, in March around, if I'm not mistaken, and less 1 hour, or in this case regulates the hour when we reach the winter. And why do I decide to speak about this today? Because I think that it's concerning. We've been in jet lag in our own country. Look, we changed our, like, what, 2 weeks ago, and I still having difficulties to have myself in place, to put my head in place. My organism still not regulated, and so it's quite sometimes quite a mess in my head every time I have to do something, and even my waking up hours and going to bed, my meal hours sometimes is also quite a mess. So it's something that we should be concerned about. Hello Wojtek, greetings for you as well. Thank you to be here with me. Also with Wojtek, Cześć. Also, I've been speaking with Wojtek before. As you see, Wojtek made the promo with me, and also I'll be showing. One thing that we were talking before. But let's start first things first. So when we speak about time change, we have to include a lot of things, and it is really a lot of things. So we have to think first about where it started, how does it work, why it works this way, why some countries change, some others don't, which pros we can have with it, which cons we have with it, because most of the time there is a lot of cons, and the risks, the countries that are doing it, the risks we endure by have that time change. So you can see, as you can see in the description, there is a bunch of links that I'm just going to speak about a few today. Not a few, but I'm going to say it in general about them, because there is a lot of information just for a program that I want to keep doing in it 30 to 45 minutes, not more than that. So it is a lot of information, but you can have a good look to all those links, because it's a good way for you to understand how time, for those who don't know how this works, how time change, why it works this way, why we change the clock, etc., and why it's not abolished so far. So as we know, we work ourselves by the Greenwich rule, and the Greenwich rule is where this time change system as born, basically. So as long as I'm talking here, I'll be showing. Let me just open I have here somewhere the links. I have just to find it. Where do I have this? Where do I have this? Where do I have this? So I might have here just I'm just hiding this so I can find the Wikipedia link. All right. Very sorry. So I have to search for the Wikipedia first, and I have. All right. This is not going good to my throat. Yeah, I got it. It should be logged in, but okay. So when we start, we have to start by this. So the Greenwich saving time. And why do I start with Greenwich saving time? I start with this because it's where everything was born. So everything started with the Greenwich saving time. It started in London. So in the system that we could base our everything that is about our the clock in one system, and then by distance we could by distance to east or to west we could have those changes and have a better guide from the sun. So you also have this link below, and you can have a good look for it. So the people use it as the UTC or the CUT, as you prefer, the Coordinated Universal Time. So this is all in the way that we can have the base, and they just draw a line, and it is this line that sometimes is quite confusing. When we talk about this line, we have to see things Um, like, okay, so we made everything very very nice and neat for to the size in the axial uh, in the axial of the Earth, but we didn't think everything very very good in certain way, because if you're going to do a line by the globe, right, you have to do it in a way that it won't jeopardize anyone. And this is, I'm already showing the article about the international dateline, but I have here the images so you can, because this is very, sometimes this is very confusing. So let me see, just, here you go. I'm going to show these two images for you to understand in the first one. Oh, sorry, not this one. Or it's this one, and yeah, it's this one. All right. Okay, so no more. This one. So as you can see, so everything starts on Greenwich, and they made a line around the globe, so around the poles and so on, where they start to base what we call this imaginary line, and we organize the times. But when we start to go around the globe, this international dateline, as they call it, is quite confusing, because when everything starts to get very complicated when we reach the Oceania countries. And as you can see on this image, and it reaches to a point that is almost difficult to understand why some countries that is more for the right have 13 and 14 hours difference for instance from us, that we are on Greenwich time, and why some other countries have less. So for instance, we can see, I'm going to bring up the image a little bit more. So we have these islands here, you can see here in the center. This is the islands of Kiribati. The islands of Kiribati, in the more eastern part of Kiribati, they reach till 14 hours difference. 14. These 14 hours, that should already not be 14 hours, because if it is further the line, it should not be this 40 hours situation. But what happened here is that due to political situation and due to agreement with New Zealand, they have this 40-hour difference, which is something that it's not really understandable, in the way that Kiribati is 14 hours more, but the islands of Samoa, for instance, or one of the islands of Samoa, is already less 12 or 13 hours. So in the same place, and this is what becomes very weird. So as you can see here, on the top between the 12s starts the line, and the line is not straight. The line has a lot of curves and turns, and you reach the point that it has so many differences that you reach a point that you almost cannot understand where is the place with more time, where is the place with less time. So let me show you also this image. So as I was explaining, here you can see in the best way how the international dateline works, and you can see how the difference between these two places. So we are, for instance, in the line of Greenwich, in the line of London, and we are in the line of London in a sort of, because we were supposed to be, by this logic, we were supposed to have less 1 hour, at least 1 and a half hour in Portugal, if we are going to do the math right. But as we have agreements, long-time agreements with England, we have the same time as England. In the same way that Iceland, for instance, that should be last 3 hours at least, is in the same time as Portugal, where we are on winter time, because when we are on summertime we put the clock forward, so we have 1 hour more than Iceland, for instance, but because Iceland does not change the clock for summertime, because it's not worth it, since they are a country that the difference between the daylight and the night in the peak of summer and peak of winter is not worth it to do that change. So this is the logic we follow here. But before we go there, so as I'm showing you here, so we have the international dateline, and as you can see, it seems very straight. So when we go and turn around the globe to the other side, we start to see these much changes as you have in the image to the left. And when we look, for instance, like Kiribati, Kiribati is a big region, we can say that way, because they have a lot of islands, and some of them a little bit far from each other, from the east to the west. And for political situations, they are the country which they have the longer time, and they have two separate time differences, because in the eastern side they have 14 hours. With the island, they call it the Millennium Island or the Christmas Island, that has 14 hours, and then some differences between hour, 30 minutes, 15, and so on. With this, we reach to the point that, of course, that for some islands, this gets quite tricky. Because, for instance, because this is all politics, and this is the part of politics that becomes very, very complicated to work on. For instance, this is, as you can see on top, Samoa, the Samoan Islands. And as you see, we can see the international dateline here, and at red in the center. This line separates the American Samoa from the Samoa, the Republic of Samoa. I don't know if it is Republic of Kingdom, so I'm very sorry, I didn't search that well, but that separates these two. American Samoa, has their name says, for a long time is in agreements, or necessarily they belong to the United States. Where, and in the other side, we have Samoa at left, that they have big trade and financial agreements with New Zealand and Australia. Why did I bring you this example here? I bring you this example because mostly we are talking about a group of islands that they share almost the same culture. So I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller, so to put it here at the side. So as you can see, they share the same culture in most of them. And the problem here is that when you look to Samoa at the left, Samoa has the same goes in the same time basically as New Zealand, so it's plus 12, 13 hours than us here in Portugal. In the other side, we have American Samoa that follows the system of the United States. So in this case, American Samoa is less 12 hours, 11 to 12 hours. So what this makes? This makes that people from the same culture, and this is almost unbelievable, people from the same culture that are not that far away from each other, every time that they go from, imagine, from the island of Samoa to the American Samoa, they have to turn one day around. So they have to make a day before or a day after. You see, so this is insane. So we reach the point of insanity on this one. The same, basically the same, they share most of the culture between themselves. You know, they share a lot of things, they have a lot of things in common, and because of the the dateline, for one first, that is imagine today is Saturday, imagine for Samoa it's already Sunday, but it's American Samoa, it's still Saturday very early in the day. So we reach this point of insanity. This is a point of insanity that even I know that Samoa and American Samoa, they have this situation because of trading partners, of their trading partners. We have to reach the point of see what is right and what is wrong, because this in a certain way becomes wrong due to cultural heritage that they share. And so even when they go from one island to the others, the time difference, they won't feel that much time difference because the world goes around same way. So if for one is day, for the other will still be day. Alright, we reach the point that 24 hours difference from one place to the other can make a big difference regarding services and all other matters. So this is something that sometimes we don't think that much about, and this is a big situation, and that's why we speak about jet lag. I know you might ask, for those that are listening to me and might ask, but they are very close, they won't feel that difference. It seems not. We might think they might not feel that difference, but it's still always one day difference just because of an imaginary line. And this brings us to the main theme of today. So we are talking about jet lag and the daylight saving time. Why I brought this idea of daylight saving time not because of the system of daylight saving time, not because of it, but mostly because of the harm that makes the time change when we are in the same place, and that's the main thing of today. So you have all the links below and you can check it even during the program or after. If you prefer after the program, you can check all the links. When we change the time in our country, for instance, I understand that the idea is for the day to have more light as possible, mostly in the morning, because many people start their day at 7, at 8 in the morning. The kids go to school, the services start early, people go work early, so that makes the whole difference, and that's more than understandable. The problem is that we should reach the point that we should just agree in 1 hour system, period. Because the situation here, and you can see in one of the articles, not everyone uses the coordinated universal time or the Greenwich time as we use, because the Greenwich time was made to avoid those 15 minutes difference between every line that we make every time that we go to another country, that we go around the world. So what do I mean with those every minute? Because every time we go to another axial part of the globe, so for every time we go for another degree of the globe, we have a 4 minutes difference. So it is a big thing when we speak about time change. That's why the Greenwich system was implemented, was to finish and kill those 15 minutes and 30 minutes and 45 minutes that exist. Of course, that we have a lot of time systems in the world, and not every country works with the time change and works with the Greenwich system. Because if you can see in the links, in Asia, for instance, there is a lot of countries that still with differences of 15 and 30 and 45 minutes. In the Americas, same happen. In Oceania, same happen. So not everyone went into this idea, into this system of this of the Greenwich system. But mostly the idea here of today is about the time change, and we have to be realistic. When we look for countries, for example, I just spoke about Iceland before. Iceland, it's always on the regular time, as we are. So, and when I say regular time, we call it the winter time. And the winter time is supposed to be the system that works better for everything, for the humans, for the animals, for the plants, for everything, because we take better of the sun in the early morning. That's the main idea. So when we look, and this is a study that I'm going to show you here, that was done in the US, and this is about the sleep cycles. So and this explains our system working by the sunrise and the sunset, and our system working by the clock. What happens here, as you can see, is while the system that works by sunrise and sunset, and it's synced with it will work much better, because it will take more of the sun. It will keep the vitamin E, I think it's vitamin E or D, I'm not already sure. It's D or E, the vitamin that the sun produces will keep working on, will keep rising. And that's it makes a big difference. When we work by the clock, as we are already used to work, some of times we lose important times of the day for our biologic system. So as you can see, of course, for instance, they show here the system, the natural system work with the clock. First, in Ecuador line, this is something that works, and it works mostly because the differences between day and night are so small that they don't even need to change the clock. But when we see systems like for ours here in Portugal, we work like this one below and in the bottom right, that we work mostly clock synced. That is how we clock synced. No, it's set bottom right, but it's top right. This is how we work. In a certain way, we try to take the best of. I know, sorry, I was saying right. I'm very sorry. It's the bottom right that I was saying. So it's clockwise. So this is how it work, how we work, and the reason that we change the hour is to try to take the most of the morning, the daylight in the morning. But as we are going to see, and of course it's important for us to get as much sun as we can. But as we're going to see, 1 hour difference changes a lot, not only in your sleep, as you can see here, but it will change in your meals, it will change in your life, and mostly it will change in your it will change with your biological clock, because it seems that doesn't happen, but in a certain way, when it changes so much of you, you have to readapt to everything, and that readaptation takes long time. As we can see, so I'm going to show one of the links that speaks about jet lag. They explain this very deeply, and I'm going to show you some part of the text that I bring for you here when we speak about jet lag. So what we have is what is called the social jet lag. That's been associated with negative effects on physical and mental health outcomes, including increased risk for diabetes, obesity, heart disease, depression, and some forms of cancer. So when we play with this, when we play with this kind of situations of time change on a regular basis, 2 times a year, this will make a big difference, because we cannot forget that when we put an hour more in the clock, we are not putting an hour more, we are taking an hour, and that hour, your day will only have 23 hours, and that hour should be taken for you to rest, and you won't rest. That will change your system. In the same way that when we reach fall, when we take an hour, we supposedly take an hour, we are not taking an hour, we are putting everything together. But then at the same time, we will have a 25-hour day, and that 25-hour day will change a lot with your system, because your body doesn't recognize a 25-hour day in the same way that doesn't recognize a 23-hour day. So this is one of the things that it's very important to understand. So as I said, so daylight saving time shifts are associated with high rates of ischemic stroke in the first 2 days after the shift. Even not during the week, it can happen during the week. So these shifts are associated with big rate of ischemic stroke. So ischemic stroke is the blood not reaching enough. So it's the carrying of your blood to your head. So the blood doesn't go in the right way to your head. So you can already see how dangerous this can be. So imagine that during that adaptation time, you have the risk, you're enduring a risk of having a stroke, you know, and just because we shift something that's not natural. Because one thing is you changing to another country, you're traveling to another place, you have to change time, and for that there is systems for people to adapt from the beginning for the new place, of course, and also the new clock that they are going to. In this case, or even we could be in a situation of a country like Russia that have 11 different clock times, or for the United States that they have a difference between East and West of 3 or 4. That's something, because we are talking about big countries, and those differences are understandable, because one only have 1 hour system in one country as big as Russia or the United States would never work. China tried to do it, but some of the Chinese counties reached the point of getting back their own hour system, so they can take the best of daylight, because following the state hour for them does not work. So they had to reach the point of, okay, we have to have our own system, because the national system is not good for us, because the day, or in this case the daylight, would start very late. Imagine like starting at midday, or in some cases would start at 4 a.m. and finish at, imagine, 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So this is kind of things that people have to realize. But that's one thing on these big countries. In smaller countries, for instance like Portugal, this is not understandable. And I was speaking about the risk, now keep speaking and trying to make people understand the best way possible all the risk that we endure with this shift. So keep going on the cons, because there is more cons than pros. For clock shifts were found to increase the risk of heart attack by 10% and to disrupt sleep and reduce its efficiency. Effects on seasonal adaptation on circadian rhythm can be severe and last for weeks. And I can speak for myself. And the circadian rhythm is our biological rhythm. So, and I speak for myself. Sometimes I am times and times and times for since we changed the hour again. I've been in the last, I don't know, 2 weeks. I'm already adapting better for the new hour, because it changed. Even it's just only 1 hour. Okay, it's just 1 hour, but the what we are going to get, it's not enough to the point of just of changing 1 hour and changing all the system and doing it twice a year. That harms, and it's so bad for our health. So keep going. So I'm going to keep showing some of the cons. A 2013 review found little evidence that people slept more than on the night after the fall DST shift, even though it is often described as allowing people to sleep for an hour longer than normal. Some reviews stated that the lost hour of sleep resulting from the spring shift appears to result in sleep loss at least for a week afterwards. So this is what I was already saying before. This is an American study that they speak about it. Just allow me just to check here one thing. Okay, so okay, no, it's everything okay. So you can see how bad this can be. So when we make these shifts, first for the fall shift, we are not going to sleep an hour extra. You're going to sleep the same time because your biological clock wants you to sleep the same time. Is used to sleep only that time. So you're not going to sleep more than you already sleep. You're going to sleep the same, you know. And this is a big deal that most of the times we don't understand. We don't have more. We are not adding more or less. We are doing the same thing that we ever did. Just we are going to do in a different way, in the most uh, prejudicious way. That's the big con of this. And just to finish, so what I was saying here in the 2014 study conducted in the United States showed that heart attacks decreased significantly after the fall DST shift. And why? And of course, most these studies were all done there. So why does the heart attacks decrease significantly after the fall DST? This happens mostly because our system works is used for the fall DST, or the daylight saving time of the winter time. Let's call winter and summertime because here in Europe we call winter and summertime. This is how it works here. So our our biological system, it's taught, and it's told, and it's trained to go along in this case the Greenwich system of time. So if we are if we are told, if we are trained to work on that system, so it's normal that our body will respond much better when it is the winter time than when it is the summertime. Even, of course, we can argue about what we prefer. For instance, of course, I enjoy more summertime because we have more hours of daylight, and for instance, the kind of schedules I prefer summertime for that. In the other hand, we have to see what it's better for us. We have to see what it won't harm us so deeply. This is an important situation that we should approach. By the way, Paul, so and, I was saying before, I was speaking with my friend Wojtek during the afternoon, and he sent me, we were talking, he sent me this video that I'm going to share with you his thoughts as well. I'm going to share with you his thoughts. Let me just open it a little bit. Let me just, okay, so put it here a little bit bigger. Let's hear him. Let's hear him.
Hi, Nelson. Hi, everybody. Thinking about jet lags and changing the times, don't you think that we have some governments in the Europe who make very long jet lags now, and they back his clocks to the 12th century?
Okay, so Wojtek bring us here a very valid point, and he brings us here a very valid point, mostly because we, of course, this of the hours change or time change, it's just a political thing, no doubt about it. It's a political thing. And mostly we have to see this kind of situation in a way that we should see what it's better for us and not what it's better politically for the country or for anything else. The big thing here is that we work or we follow the idea of the astronomical scientists. Okay, so the people that check on the astros regularly, and for in case of Portugal, we follow their lead. We believe that not we, but the government or the actual government believes that their lead is the best lead. In a certain way, and this is a kind of conspiracy in one way, I believe that they do it because with all these studies that are online, and as I've shown you here, and you can see in the links below in the description, the government knows that with this kind of changes, people might feel worse, will feel worse every time the clock changes. So they understand that. They know that is going to happen. So it will be a better way to control the people. So we as the people can go first after the pharmaceuticals. After we can go after, so I don't know, so many things, but mostly the pharmaceuticals. And why do I say that? Because look, we have to see one thing, and this is the main idea that I want to leave you here. This the daylight saving time. This is a business, like any other. It is a business. That's why we jet lag in our own country. It's all for the sake of the business. Because these hour changes twice a year, changes with our biological system. This is not the same thing as we were going, for instance, to an equatorial country or to the northern or the foremost southern countries. It's not the same thing, because if you go to a northern country right now, they are starting to go into the polar nights, so they won't see the sun for a month and a half, and they know it, so they start to prepare soon to deal with it. And the time change, the hour change, will make almost no difference. Even in Europe, almost all countries change time. But for instance, in our situation, the time change, the difference won't be that much sometimes. So we think there is a big difference, but it's not that big of course, it's a little different, but not that big of a difference. So it's not really worth it to make this kind of change. So I see it by the sake of the business, of the pharmaceutical business, and of course, if the pharmaceuticals earn their money, the government will also earn their money. So it's all linked together in all the way. And I was talking about the countries that change and doesn't change time. So I'm going to show here the world map, and you can see also this in the links below. So the blue countries on top are the countries that change time. The same thing is for the southern countries. The orange countries are the ones that change the time. The gray ones are the ones who doesn't change, and the dark gray dark gray are the ones that are in the possibility of not doing it. and some are not doing it, and some of them have their own system. So what happens here, for instance, in one of the articles they speak about, for instance, Brazil. Brazil till 2000, till 2017 or 2018 was a country that always changed the clock, an hour more or an hour less. And they decided since last year, if I'm not mistaken, or 2 years ago, they decided not to do it anymore. And they decided not to do it anymore because it was not worth it changing time first, and second, some of their computer systems are already very old. And because of those systems being very old, the time change was something that was creating a lot of difficulties. So they decide by the time to just get it with that change. The same thing happened in Russia. Russia also tried to have one system of their own. But the truth is, in a country so big with 11 time differences, they decided that it would be better for each region to have their own system so they can take the best of the daylight. So what we see here is the Northern Hemisphere countries, or part of them, most of you see in Canada, in the US, Greenland have it, and most of the European Union, supposedly till next year, are the ones that change the clock. But the European Union gave that possibility for that to be current. Of course, that Portugal already said with his government they are not going into that treaty, and they will keep changing the hour, changing time, because the astronomical scientists said that it was the better way. Of course, I don't believe it, because once again, this is all a business, and the pharmaceuticals need to earn with it, so the state can also earn with it. So I really don't buy it, that idea, but happily, most of the European countries in the European Union can decide if they consider is the best to change, to stop changing time, or if they prefer to keep changing it. Of course, that with this, you already can see it. The best thing would be like Turkey done 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, not changing time anymore. They have one time system, and it is the best thing that they could do, because for the people's sake, and this is the last thing that I will say here, for the people's sake, we have to stop changing time, the hour, or someday this can start to become much worse, because this really harms people's health, harms people's lifestyle, harms people's minds, the brain, people's brain, so they can have the harms in your sleeps. That's why it harms people's brain, because it harms your sleeps. And if you don't rest well, you won't have an healthy mind, you won't have an healthy body, you won't live good. And I think that's the thing that everyone wants, every person wants, is to have a good life in good health. So to finish, I just want to address you. You have the link below as well, but I just want to address you one last piece of my mind before we finish today. It's a shame that people didn't give much opinions. We had here Wojtek speaking with me a little bit, but no one decided to speak that much today, but it is what it is, part of the game. But to finish, I just want to show you this. So I just want to show you this quite remarkable and beautiful and this is a Marten, and this is something that on Monday I'll be speaking with Ricardo at Teorias da Conspiração, but I just want to address this a little bit. So this animal, the Marten, was found in their groups in the few specimens. So we're talking about 4, 5, 6 specimens that were found with COVID, with COVID system, which that it is a very they say that it is a very strong mutation of the COVID right now, and they decided to exterminate. I repeat, exterminate the whole population. This is in Denmark. So we are talking around 15 million Martens that are being exterminated in Denmark. Also, we cannot forget that Denmark is the leader of, is the exporting leader of Marten fur for coats, to do coats and every kind of clothing. And this is what and you can see the news below, and this is what I think like, and I have to say. So they found 4 or 5 specimens with COVID, with a strong mutation that it supposedly were tested, and supposedly they could make the virus go for humans. So the interaction between these quite nice and pretty species, so they can send the virus to humans. So the interaction between them can make humans get the virus, so they say. But because they found 4 or 5, most of them, we cannot forget, most of these animals are in captivity. So they have like Marten farms, just thinking for clothing, just for their fur. They don't do basically anything with the animal. So before I finish, I just want to say my goodbyes on Instagram, because I'm already reaching time. You can see it after on Facebook, on YouTube. So guys, on Instagram, take care. Bye bye. So I was just reaching the time on Instagram, so I just had to finish so I could keep the conversation with you. So as I was saying, just to finalize, and of course people on Instagram will be able to see this video afterwards, so I'll just put this video afterwards, but before I put I just want to finish here. So just because they found 4 or 5 specimens with the virus, that is a strong mutation, they decide to kill all the species, and most of them are in captivity. So they have they have the farmers that have modern farming, and this is what I ask. So of course you can find this species in anywhere else, but when we look like for a country like Denmark, and I'll just post the image of the specimens just during my final words. I'll just put it here. So when we have a country like Denmark killing an whole species just because they found 4 or 5 specimens with COVID, because of the fears of they to be the main COVID country and main COVID transmitter, like China was. And then they are going to send their for clothing, for coats and things like that. Look, I must say I'm very displeased with the Danish government. The Danish government that has been for a long time one of the tough countries about the European Union and about the countries of the South that have been having more financial difficulties. They've been so harsh, and they consider themselves to being not only the happiest country on earth, but also one of the best countries of living. And I have to ask you, Denmark, and for the Danish people, I have to ask you this: how can you live with this kind of idea? How can you live with the idea of killing, of exterminating an whole species just because they found 4 or 5 with COVID? They are not even sure if more species had COVID. They are not even sure if that was a strong a strong mutation, as they call it. The way I see it, Denmark, like any other country, are struggling. Of course, everyone is struggling around the world. Almost every country in the world is struggling. I think only North Korea is not struggling because North Koreans, they struggle all year round. Every year. It's not once in a while, it's every year. Who will exterminate? How do you mean who will exterminate? Denmark? I don't know. I don't know. I think that the only way Denmark can really take care of COVID is to exterminate all the Danes. They have to exterminate all the Danish people. It's the only way they can take care of the COVID situation, because I don't see it. I don't see a different way. I must admit it. This is not a pretty situation, but it is what we have. So when we reach this point, and this is a very sensitive thing for me. When we reach to the point of exterminating, and I repeat, exterminating a null species because they claim they have yes, Wojtek, probably that as I was saying, the only way for Denmark to deal with COVID is to kill everyone. The government just tell to the police and to their army to kill everyone. But look, sometimes we speak about, oh, Denmark this, Denmark that. Look, if you're going to see the way that Denmark works with the Faroe Islands, and the way that Denmark works with Greenland, go check on their policies. Go check on the Faroe Islands policies. Go check on Greenland policies, and go and see how they work between themselves. Because the Faroe Islands, it's not the first time they go for independence. They don't want it. The kingdom don't want that. The king or the queen, I think I think it's a king. They have that. They don't want that. In the Faroe Islands, Greenland, same thing. And I ask you, why? Why they don't want that? They are afraid to not receive more wealth from those countries, that Esteja bem-vindo, boa noite. Boa noite. They are afraid that they're. Right, that's right, Father. We kill pigs and cows and wild animals. Look, we can kill each other. We should not do it in a certain way. We should not do it, but we can kill each other, of course. But then you go to jail. At least at least here in Portugal, in so many other European countries, that you might get into big problems and go to jail. But this is the thing. So what's happening here in Denmark is and I'm asking for the person that is with just a matter of opinion account and to say who he is or she is, because I won't. Opa, quem for que diga que é que eu sinto no fim quem é que está a falar, quem está a escrever. Yes, we already do that with wars and all that. Yes, we know that we do it, and this is a big concern. And regarding that, I can already launch the theme for next week. I'm going to speak about what everyone is speaking about right now. I'm going to give my opinion and to try to make people understand how their voting system works. I'm going to speak about the American elections next week, and of course I'm for Joe Biden, of course, because everyone wants Trump out, at least in Europe, because the guy is a dumbass. But anyway, next week I'm going to address that and explain their voting system. So, but to finish this situation, this is a big environmental crisis that we are creating. Like we have in Portugal wildfires, like the tree cutting in the Amazon rainforest, this is a major environmental crisis that's going to happen. And I really hope that people over time can judge on Denmark this situation, and mostly we can make the Danish government pay for this genocide, because this is an animal genocide that it's going on just for business-wise. And don't come to tell me I'm wrong. Even a Danish comes here and says me that, I don't believe you, sorry. Danish people, I've already met a lot of Danes. They're so far good people, but this kind of policies we cannot accept. And you, Denmark, that criticize so much not only the southern countries, but the eastern countries as well. You criticize even your neighbors. You criticize so much your neighbors for everything they do. And I can speak what it's regarding, for instance, Iceland. I spoke, and I will give the Icelandic example for many things. And this is same situation, because Iceland was a former colony of Denmark. And you're still criticizing so much your neighbors, and mostly your partners of the Faroe Islands and of Greenland, and you commit what I call a genocide, an animal genocide. So what I hope is that also organizations like PETA, Greenpeace, that Swedish girl that is already mocking Trump, like Greta, I think it's Greta. If she listens to this, I hope that if you're big enough, old enough, wild and strong enough to mock with Trump, a guy with almost 80 years old, 75, 74 or 76, I don't know. I hope that you can be big and strong and powerful enough to go against your neighbors of Denmark and stick your finger in their nose and say what is not right to do, to exterminate an whole species for COVID claims, they say, of 4 or 5 specimens, when they are the leading leaders of Marten fur coat and so on. So I really hope that even on Monday I'll be speaking here in Teorias da Conspiração. Of course, the program is also in Portuguese, so I'm going to address that in Portuguese as well, but I'll be able to talk a little bit about that again. But this was something that I had to take out of my chest and share here with you, and to aware you of this situation, because shame on you, Denmark. Shame on you. That's everything I have to say to the Danish government. Shame on you. You should be. You should be. And you claim so many things against every other country, and you do such things, such genocide. So shame on you, Denmark. With that said, my friends, and with that said, I think that it's time to start to say my goodbyes, and I hope that you liked today's program, today's first program. I think that I brought the best program I could bring for the first program. Next week I'm going to bring you the American presidential election, because it's still a lot to be talked about, and I already spoke with many people that still don't understand how their voting system works. So next week I'm going to bring you that for you. Of course, don't you forget, we still with the giveaway on. Check on the rules. We are very close to give away what we have, and of course, check all the programming with the programming that we have for you. Until then, I'll be here tomorrow and also on Monday as well. Tomorrow with the quiz, and Monday with Teorias da Conspiração or conspiracy theories. But until next week, I hope you have a fantastic week. Take care and goodbye, my friends. Namaste to all of you. Till next week.